this week's Torah portion, we learn about the terrible story of Korach and his followers. Korach was a relative of Moses and Aaron, and had a tinge of jealousy for the leadership positions that they assumed amongst the Jewish people. And he thought, based on some good evidence, that he was deserving of the role of leaders of the Jewish people. And so he stages a rebellion against Moses and Aaron, the two leaders appointed by God himself over the Jewish people. And he says, why have you exalted yourself above the congregation of the Almighty? Leadership should be for everyone, right? I should be also the leader, which is what he's really thinking. And the rabbis say in Ethics of the Sages that if you want to look at a dispute that is purely for the sake of heaven, for the right reasons, that is the disputes that are found recorded in the Talmud between the yeshiva and the houses of Hillel and Shammai, the two great sages of the Tanaitic period, and their students. Because those were arguments that they had, bitter arguments, but they always got along. They even married into each other's families. Socially they got along, and they loved each other dearly. But a dispute that is not for the sake of heaven, the rabbis tell us, is that of the dispute of Korach and his followers. Because what Korach understood was that there were many, many different angles to attacking Moses and Aaron and their leadership. And so he just gathered a group of people that had something in for Moses and Aaron, whether it was jealousy, pride, envy, whatever it might be, and he collated them together in this grand attack. And that's why the statement is, a dispute that is not for the sake of heaven is Korach and his followers. It should have said, a dispute not for the sake of heaven is Korach versus Moses and Aaron. Just like we said the inverse, which was a dispute for the sake of heaven, was Hillel versus Shammai. But it says Korach and his followers, because once there's a dispute, and the details don't matter, it's just the only goal is to win, win, win at all costs, which is what Korach wanted, then he's just going to gather everyone who he can, who agrees with his ultimate goal, even if it's from different angles, in order just to get them out. They're not interested in healthy debate. They're just interested in the end game, the winning at all costs. And so it didn't even matter that it was against Moses and Aaron. It could have been against the piece of wood. But they wanted to win at all costs, and they therefore gathered everyone in their path in order to do that. That's why it's the dispute of Korach and his followers. Moses and Aaron are irrelevant. It could have been anybody or anything that they were fighting against. Just in contemporary times, a great example of this, from a non-Jewish perspective at least, is Abraham Lincoln. And a fascinating book that I thoroughly enjoyed called Team of Rivals, The Political Genius of Abraham Lincoln, a very thick, heavy book which describes how Abraham Lincoln used his cabinet, who were all men that were all at odds with each other. None of them really liked each other. They all disagreed with each other. However, Lincoln understood that each person had his own place, his own opinion was valuable, and that if you work them together towards a common goal, even with their disagreements, they can come out with a common goal, united, and accomplish that goal, which was namely the ending of the Civil War, and secondly, the passing of the 13th Amendment, abolishing slavery forever. And he did those two things using these different viewpoints because he had one common goal of unity and peace. This is in contradistinction to Korach, whose common unified goal was destruction of the hierarchy and leadership and the very appointees of God himself. Obviously we're seeing divisiveness all over the world, in our communities even, and certainly what's going on in the broader world. And what we're seeing is exactly Korach and his followers, that reality of not being able to have a conversation with each other. You're either a CNN watcher or a Fox News watcher, and the two sides hate each other and think the other's insane. It's amazing how everyone thinks the other person's insane. Everyone is insane, basically. And of course, your position is the perfect position. I'm right in the middle. I'm a centrist. I'm the only moderate, balanced view. The rest of you are all insane. I think we've encountered this many, many times. Let's learn from Korach and his followers in this week's Torah portion to have a steady, balanced, healthy debate with great respect for each other, like the schools of Shammai and Hillel. When we do that, we can all live together, pray together, learn together in peace and harmony. That is what a minyan does. A minyan of men and women who come to Shul to pray, they achieve a unity that puts aside their differences and backgrounds because it unites them in a common goal. And with that, I'd like to say that our first week back at Minyan in the morning at Near Israel was beautiful, a great success, keeping to all the guidelines. And I am thrilled to say welcome back on Shabbat to our first services since March. welcome home. Shabbat shalom.